in, ladies and gentlemen, to NBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. What's up? You really like that? Let's shut up and grind some tape.
Man, they fought for you. They were warriors for you. These women that fight this battle, they're warriors. I saw it with my mom. I watched my mom battle breast cancer. I saw my mom fight. I watched my wife's mom fight. Knowing she probably was never even going to win the fight. Knowing that eventually she'd be up in heaven. Man, she was just fighting for 10 more minutes with her grandkid. 10 more minutes. She taught me how to fight. Who taught you how to fight? Who taught you how to be a warrior? A warrior doesn't need a weapon. A warrior is the weapon. You guys are warriors. You've been taught to fight. So as you take that field, fight for yourself. Fight for what you want. Fight for each other. But just remember who went to war for you in your life.
Hey, I'm going to tell you what. You have a lot of jobs as a head football coach of a Power 5 football program. Okay, you're the CEO. You're the overseer of all the operations within and outside that building. You're the hirer and firer. Okay, you have the final say of everything. The weight of the program is on your shoulders. Literal families that are on coaching staffs beneath you are in the responsibility and in your hands. But of all the responsibilities as a head football coach, you are the chief leader of young men. Okay, your job is to take 17 and 18-year-old young, impressionable players and shape them into young men, preparing them for the world. I know it sounds cliche, but if you've ever been in a locker room, it's the reality, okay? Most football players will speak highly of the men who have shaped their lives as they have come up and out throughout this game, right? Good coaches lead to football players who remain around the game. Bad coaches lead to football players who stop playing it. Okay, your primary job, in my opinion, is to be a chief leader of young men. Be able to be an infectious leader of young men. And if you can do that, you will have success as a football coach. I know very little about Matt Rhule. All I know is he's won football games at Temple. He's managed to turn Baylor into a winner, which we found out is really, really hard unless you're basically hiding up sexual allegations. Okay, that's about it. Not reality. I just went way too far on that one, but you get what I'm saying. Very hard to win at Baylor. He managed to do so in a very hard time to do so at Baylor. I think people forget how much of a stain was on that program when this dude took it over. Okay, this is the opposite of Art Briles at that program, and he managed to turn it around in a time that others thought it was not able to do so. Tell me what you want about the Carolina run. It is what it is, okay? That's a different level. That's a different beast. That's a different animal, if you will. But when I listen to that, when I listen to that speech, okay, I can tell you right now, Nebraska is going to win football games at a high rate or a higher rate than they did before he got in there. Welcome to tonight's show. We got a loaded one for you. I'm tired of a take that I keep seeing, and I printed the damn thing out, and I'm going to come talk to you about it tonight. We have College Courtroom. We're going to talk to our friend Kyle Henderson about Alabama tonight in the courtroom. Big Ten coaches calling for action in the Michigan scandal. Can't wait to talk about that. That's a story that just keeps on giving there. Who's on the I don't want to play them list in college football? We're talking about that tonight. Upset alert. We're going to be telling you who needs to be watching out and on the lookout this weekend in college football. And the coach who is most likely to get fired after Saturday's win or loss this weekend. I want to give a quick shout out to our friends over there at Prize Picks, okay? Use promo code Brooks. You'll get a 100% deposit match over there today. So what does that mean? You put in $100, you get in up to $100 back. Every single time you ooh me, okay, when you ooh something I say, it just sits with me for like the next 5 to 10 minutes.
No, I thought it was good.
The last time you oohed me was Shane Beamer when I effed him. When I told him to get the F off the stage, you said, ooh. Because it wasn't ooh, you're cooking. It was ooh, damn, ooh, ah. He said that. Hey, the Art Briles stuff at Baylor's gross. Go look it up. It's gross.
For sure.
It's horrible.
I said ooh as in like, ooh, he got a point.
But that's not why they won. They won because they had RG3 and a bunch of really good offenses.
Bryce Petty, Sean Oakman.
But it was gross.
Yeah, not good. Bad look.
But you oohed me. I'm not saying don't ooh me anymore.
Sorry.
It tones me back down. But they just every time you can see. Look how red my face is, man. I got nervous as soon as you said it.
Man.
Welcome into tonight's show. We do have a loaded one for you. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, and rate, reviewing, all that good stuff. We do have College Courtroom coming up. It's going to be a good one. I think we stumbled upon something the last time we did this with our guy TJ Pittinger. It's also a way to introduce ourselves over to different fan bases, like albeit an Alabama fan base. So if you're an Alabama fan who's found this on Rewatch, we appreciate you for being here today. Go ahead and subscribe. We're live every Monday through Thursday talking national college football 9 to 10 here on the channel. What do we want to do before we get our guy Kyle Henderson in?
We got to talk about the Tutty Tire.
We got to talk about the Tutty Tire?
Yes.
All right, let's talk about the Tutty Tire before I obliterate this take that I'm upset about. Or do you want to talk about happy, good, funny stuff before I obliterate man's takes?
Do you want to be upset first and then get happy, or do you want to go high to low?
I like to eat my vegetables first. Let me get after this right quick.
Go ahead.
Now, I want to preface this by saying I think it's Kirk Herbstreit and I think it's Joel Klatt. I think those two humans covering this sport right now, calling this sport, I think they're in a different level than everybody else. So I just want to preface this by saying that. But Joel, you finna get it. Joel tweeted out today, lots of sources and articles about how, quote, mad opposing coaches are about Michigan. The level of anger has a direct relationship with the success Michigan has had over the last 2 seasons. Also, the level of anger is not grounds for unprecedented overreach by the commish. I want to read something to you. In the 3 years that Connor Stallions left a paper trail of purchasing tickets to games of Michigan's opponents, the Wolverines were 33-3 overall, 22-1 in Big Ten play. In the prior 3 years, they were 21-11 overall, 16-8 in big league play. Yeah, they are jealous about the play on the field of the Michigan Wolverines because looks to me like it's been directly impacted by the shit that they're getting accused of. So, yeah, I'd be a little bit perturbed if I were a Big Ten football coach. I'd be a little bit mad if I were a Big Ten football coach. He continues, the investigation should run its course and a notice of allegation sent to the program. Quote, why would we have a different process for these allegations than we would for a tampering case? First of all, tampering case, all great, fine, and dandy. This football case has impacted direct results of football games on the game of play, in between the 53.5, in between the zeros, all right? This has directly impacted the level of play. Also, let the investigation run its course. Yeah, let's let an investigation run its course. Just like the investigation he's currently under from 2020 when he violated recruiting violations during COVID. Let's let the investigation run its course. His ass will be retired from an NFL contract by the time this one's done. Very 2020 of us to demand some sort of action based on being, quote, really upset. This should and will run its course. Don't have much there for you. He continues, somebody should ask all of these opposing coaches why they haven't been on board with the helmet audio. I'm so sick and tired of hearing helmet audio. Oh, you want to stop people from cheating? Just put helmet or just put microphones in their helmet. Bro, that's a totally different game of football. That's a totally different game of football. We would still no huddle in college football. So, yeah, tell him that we got ZY cross X tag X whatever in his helmet. Guess what some bitch going to do? He going to stand there and he's going to motion and signal to all of his damn teammates because they're trying to run no huddle. Nobody runs no huddle in the NFL. It's not the brand of football. But you know what is the brand of football in college football? Fast-paced offenses, spread offenses, stuff like Ohio State does. What do you mean put mics in the helmet? Dude, you know football. You are a very smart person. Why? You love college football, by the way. One of the most adamant, outgoing lovers of college football. And you want to change the brand of football? That's an ignorant statement right there. I don't even know why. Every infraction should be handled with the same process. Okay, to demand otherwise is a fool's errand. Doesn't matter who or what. Gather evidence, present evidence, respond, judgment, punishment. That's how it works. Bro, they got the evidence, dog. 40 games. Actually, 37 games. 37 games. We're planning to see Ohio State 8 times this year. What are we talking about? What we talking about? You know what that looked like, me? And I hate to do it, but I mean, he works for Fox. I mean, we know what it is, right? I mean, he works for Fox. This is the Big Ten favorite, right? Or one of the Big Ten darlings, one of the two Big Ten darlings left. Like, I know what he's doing, but I also get it. I also understand that we don't want to rush to have unprecedented decision making and unprecedented whatever. But like, bro, wait for it to fall out. Like, wait for it to play out. It's going to take 6 years for this to play out.
Yeah, I think we already kind of have the idea that Harbaugh is going to go to the NFL after this. I mean, I don't see why he would return with all these investigations looming. 1, 2. We've already said that when he does leave, it's not going to affect Harbaugh because he's not going to be there. And I'm just surprised that I didn't expect you to go in on Joe Klatt.
I love Joel. You know that.
That's what I was saying. That's why I was so surprised.
I love Joe Klatt. I think he's tremendous at his job, even though I want his job. No, the part about the headsets pissed me off. The part about the let his investigation run his report. The part about of these coaches are if they're actually that mad. They're mad. He basically insinuated that all these Big Ten coaches are just jealous. They're just jealous of Michigan's success. Again, I'll read it to you. In the 3 years that Stallions left a paper trail of purchasing tickets to games of Michigan's opponents, the Wolverines have gone a magical 33-3 overall, 22-1 in Big Ten play. In the prior 3 years, they were 21-11 overall and 16-8 in league play. Yeah. They're mad, Joel. Yeah, they're really, really mad. And yeah, it might require some unprecedented actions by the Big Ten, because coaches don't want them sitting around forever, waiting around to get to this discussion. Hey, one of our finest segments. Again, we stumbled into this one, and I would imagine if TJ Penninger ain't stole it yet, I don't know if anybody will. But it is a college courtroom segment here on the Film Guy Network. Here's how this works, all right? We invite an expert from a potential playoff contender onto the network. We make him defend the case for the football team that he or she covers, all right? Today's guest has nearly over 60 million views on YouTube, nearly 100,000 subscribers. His first video, I saw him uploaded on video over there on YouTube, where he had a reaction video, was actually 6 years ago. It was a Georgia and Bama hoops game. I believe Georgia won 60-55. This man has been putting up video content for quite a while, and he's got some goals, gentlemen. We got some goals to chase this one down. He is Kyle Henderson. He covers the University of Alabama. Kyle, how are we doing today, buddy?
Yo, what's up, fellas? I appreciate you guys having me, man. Thank you very much for allowing me to be here and talk some Alabama football, man. I've been listening to you guys chop it up and all as well. How's the audio coming in?
You're good, brother. You're good. If anything, we might turn you down just a tad. Is that an Audio Technica over the headset microphone you got going on right there?
Yeah, man. I'm going to turn off this echo cancellation, see if that works a little bit better.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, look, I have this mic. I have another mic. I have all sorts of mics. And this Audio Technica I've been running with, I don't necessarily like the way that it looks over the head. Because I literally just got like,
hey, that boy freshly faded. That boy freshly faded.
So there's this guy that I come to here in Tuscaloosa. It's Rivera's, and man, it takes a long time.
A good fade does.
I know, yeah, and he does a good job. So you can't rush good work. So with that said, man, I appreciate you guys being here. You know what? That video 6 years ago, I remember it, and I was just talking about it. It's hilarious. We looked like we're reporting from Mars or something like that. but I originally started NM Preps, which is a website now defunct in New Mexico, and that's kind of where I cut my teeth. So my first video on YouTube is 17 years ago, and I'm literally holding up how I used to do it. So I used to cover high school football games in New Mexico. I would hold up my laptop, and I would report like from the high school game. So. Man, been on YouTube for a minute.
a true OG to the platform. No, we're glad to have you on the network again, man. You do tremendous work. So I previewed you this too a little bit, sent you some examples. This is how this works. We're about to try to shit on Alabama. Your job is to defend them and defend them honorably. Are you prepared?
That's cool with me, man.
All right, let's get after it. I'm going to start off the arguments, and this was obvious, right? Outside of A&M, okay, that football team had an ability to run, or actually has the ability to stop you guys from running the football. I think it held Alabama to 29 yards. However, the inability for this offensive line, outside of that, y'all been running the football successful. Offensive lines play well. Outside of that, though, the inability for this offensive line to, both provide clean pockets and simultaneously Jalen Milroe not bail out from the complete pockets that are rarely provided. This football team's going to give up very, very timely sacks in football games moving forward. I think it might cost them a football game. Kyle, what say you?
It already did cost them a football game. I mean, and I might shit on Alabama with you. I mean, look, the truth of the matter here is if you're in Tuscaloosa and if you're from this area, you are not happy with what transpired in week 2. And that was against Texas, where Alabama took one on the chin. And a lot of that has been because of the inconsistent play. And a lot of that has been because of the left tackle. And that's Caden Proctor, who has been, who had a really poor performance in the beginning of the year. He's had 2 games on Pro Football Focus where he's really came with it, Mississippi State and against Tennessee. Now, against Tennessee, felt that he showed some really good signs. Tennessee has the 4th best pass rush in the entire country. And the guy graded out with 77.1 or something like that on Pro Football Focus. We're seeing growth. However, they've still gone 6 protection in some of those situations, putting either Jace McClellan back there or Robbie Oots, who is their 260-pound tight end, to provide Jalen Milroe. Well, Jalen Milroe has been sacked 31 times. What the hell is going on? Well, a lot of that is it all in the offensive line? No, of course not. There's been a lot of times where Jalen Milroe, it's been coverage sacks where he hasn't got rid of the football to throw it to the mascot or throw it to Saban's Saban has like a security guy. His name is Cedric. He's the one who literally puts the water bottle on the table. That's who you got to throw the ball to, right? Like on the sidelines. He's ate some of those, and some of those have been on him. So, yeah, I mean, are these timely sacks? Could they come to play later on during the season? Absolutely. But they've already came to play. Everybody already knows that. So, saying that is something that's already taken place. And with that said, the craziest thing about the Texas game, and look, Alabama has transformed from the beginning of the season to where they are now. But Texas, they only had 4 coming at Alabama. It was 4-on-5, and they just beat Alabama in the trenches. That was probably the worst I've seen Alabama be beat in the trenches since the 2017 season when I first got here, when Auburn's defensive line just annihilated Alabama. Crazy thing was Alabama lost that game at Auburn, didn't even play in the SEC championship, still made the playoffs, and then still won the championship.
So that would be 1 loss for Alabama. That's a fraud. Offensive line frauds. What do you got?
All right, I was looking at it today, and this is basically a preset. If you want to compete for a national title, you have to have this. And right now, Alabama does not. They do not have a top 30 scoring offense. You look back at the history of this, of the college football playoff, the national champions, and typically people who compete in the college football playoff have at least a top 30 offense. Alabama is the only team right now in the top 12 of the college football playoff rankings not to have a top 30 scoring offense. So make the case of how Alabama can overcome that and still compete for a national title.
Mm-hmm. I like this setup. You guys have the 2 guys in college in the back here, and the main guy. I love this setup. This is a good show. If you're new to this show, like and subscribe.
Hey, look at that, bro.
Yeah, dude.
Sounds like you're new to this show.
So, okay, to counter that, obviously the easy thing would be like, oh, well, they got Coach Saban. Just he's going to do whatever it takes. No, the way to counter that is Alabama's defense, right? And this team is built on defense. And the second best thing about this team, maybe even the best thing about this team, is the special teams play, right? A lot of people who talk football who don't talk about special teams don't know football. Special teams is such a vital part of every single football game. You want to go win a football game? Try winning it without a field goal kicker, right? Alabama missed 2 field goals last year, and guess what it did? Cost them the playoffs. You don't think Will Becker thinks about those kicks all the time? But the team, hold on. The team is built on defense, okay? And if this offense, in which they're doing, they're improving, and if they ever catch up with the defense, which they might, and I don't know because it's a pretty good defense. And the best thing about this defense is they're complete. Defensive line is good, inside linebackers, edge rushers, secondary. If they ever catch up with that defense, they're going to win the national title. There's a lot of parity this year. I don't think you can say, and you guys dive into the numbers. There's not a clear-cut favorite this year. Georgia hasn't played anybody. They're about to start their gauntlet. Michigan is about to get kicked out of college football. And Ohio State, they have 2 good wins against Notre Dame and against Penn State. Notre Dame's a pretender, so is Florida State. But Ohio State is a good football team with a lot of weapons. So Alabama's best way to counter that offense is their defense. Tennessee thought they could run the football. Ole Miss thought they could come in here and do things to Alabama. Their second half adjustments on defense, try beating Alabama in the second half. They've done a really good job. And plus this, Alabama is battle tested. Alabama, think about this, fellas. You guys are the statistical guys. You guys are doing the research. They went against Steve Sarkisian, one of the best offensive minds in college football. They went against Lane Kiffin, one of the best offensive minds in college football. I know that Texas A&M is a sinking ship, but those wide receivers are elite. Musa Muhammad, Anaya Smith, Evan Stewart, those guys are really good. I know they're playing with the backup quarterback. I'm just saying the defense is tested. This LSU team is going to give them everything they got by the number one quarterback in college football, but the defense is tested, and the defense is going to be really challenging for anybody else to beat down the stretch.
All right, Kyle, I got to let you know. We believe here on this, at least I do. These guys have been giving me shit for weeks.
Don't say we.
I am of the firm belief, position player background here. I think special teamers are just weird-ass dudes. Kickers are not football players. Punters occasionally are. On this channel, I have a theory that special teams only matter if you suck at them. If you're good at them, we never talk about them. But if you're just trash at them, we obviously have to talk about them. So I think you kind of hit on that. We talk about special teams when they're good and when they're bad, but again, they don't really matter unless they're really, really bad, in my opinion. And if you just want to be good at special teams, then hire Shane Beamer to be your head football coach. But most people don't do that. They want to be good at either offense or defense. So that's kind of my standpoint on that. But I think you did a really, really good job of balancing out that. So I will 1-to-1. We'll give you that one. I got another one for you. All right, look, told you about it. Texas A&M came out and they boxed you. They were able to stand in the ring and go toe-to-toe with you. But they can't cover worth of shit like a middle school football team. So what happens when you actually run up against a football team that can go 4 quarters boxing with you, limit that run game, and simultaneously cover you and make Jalen Milroe actually throw into tight windows? What happens then, Kyle?
You put in their secret weapon, Tyler Buckner.
Oh, my God.
Oh.
Order in the court. Order in the court.
No, look, at some point during this year, we're going to see Jalen Milroe take over a game with his legs and with his arm. That's something that he hasn't done all season. There's this rumor. I think it was even Alabama who started this, like on the message boards, that he had like a hamstring. And they're like, that's why he's not running and all this stuff. He almost ran against Arkansas, and then he got tripped up. He is one of the fastest guys on the team. Isaiah Bond, who's a wide receiver, is the fastest. Jalen Milroe is, 6'2", 235 pounds, and he's also up there as being one of the fastest players. Alabama has to get they don't have to control, and I think this has been one of the biggest problems about Tommy Rees, who I don't think has necessarily done an overwhelming job in his first year at Alabama. You can't control Jalen Milroe. You have to unleash him, right? And I think they're trying to do that throughout this season. And I think at some point you just got to be like, and I think they're starting to do it, but at some point you're going to be like, dude, you're the best athlete on the field. You're the best football player on the field. Go do your thing and just play football. And they're starting to allow him to do that. But at some point you're going to have to deal with that. And when you start to deal with that, there's going to be no way that you can stop him because he's an absolute animal when he takes off.
Yep. There's been some – I thought there was some kind of – I think – was it McElroy that came out preseason was like, this guy's fast, but he's not like an instinctual runner. Have you seen some improvements in like just – have they called any design runs for him, Kyle, just before we get into another point here? Are they starting to design some quarterback run for him?
I think McElroy is great, right? But he also said that Ty Simpson was going to start. I'm just saying.
That's a fact.
Look, they've done one design run, seriously, or two maybe. But that's it. Like they've kind of gone away from that altogether. The thing about Jalen Milroe, he is fast north and south.
Yeah.
In terms of what like east to west, he doesn't have that type of escapability that Bryce Young had. So like Bryce Young, and I can't believe this nickname didn't stick with Bryce Young, but when he played Georgia the first time, they were like, he's the gingerbread man. You cannot get to him. The NFL is a different animal, right?
The gumdrop buttons.
Yeah, exactly. But he's like side to side. He doesn't have that escapability, but get him north to south, you can't catch him. So that's kind of the thing with him. And I think there's a really good YouTube video with Roman Harper and Jalen Milroe. They're breaking down film, and you can literally see him going through his progression. So I think he's working on himself and trying to become a passer. And he said this on Monday when we talked to him in the press conference. He said that, look, I don't even do work on anything with my running. It's all just passing and understanding passing concepts. So why would you? I mean, the dude's like a 4.4 just natural. So At some point, he's going to start to run, and I think it'll be in a pivotal game where they need him to, and he'll do it.
What do you got for him, Kirby?
All right, so I think it's safe to say that Alabama is a more defensive team than they are offensive.
100%.
Looking back at it, I've kind of tried to think, how have primary defensive teams fared against going into national championship hopes? And I think looking at it, this is a 2019 reskin of Georgia.
Oh,
It's mediocre quarterback play. They rely heavily on the run. They use they use a very good defense to succeed. Questionable quarterback play. And I mean, look what happened when that team went up against the number one offense in the country.
LSU throated him.
Exactly. Bama's playing the LSU number one offense this week. So I think it's going to be kind of interesting to see how this offense is going to do well against its LSU. I don't know if it's going to work.
What do you got, Kyle?
That LSU team, when it came in, they were so dirty. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But Alabama also had an amazing team. That was probably one of the best football games I've ever seen, honestly. Joe Burrow, Tuatanuailoa, all those players. Remember, I think someone put out a graphic and they listed all the NFL guys on that squad.
A good 20.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And Coach Saban said tonight, just an hour ago, that 2019 LSU team is very similar to this team, which is scary if you're an Alabama football fan, because that says a lot. With that said, this defense is a lot. I guess they would be better than the 2019. I don't know. It's hard to compare like defenses and offense, whatever. But the fact of the matter is, this team is built on defense. So you really have an elite defense that is battle tested, as I mentioned earlier, going against Jaden Daniels and all his weapons. That's what it comes down to. And I think when you look at this game, and Alabama really hasn't been able to run the football effectively. It's not like they're, just ground and pound. I mean, Jace McClellan runs for like 115 tough yards. There's never like an overwhelming game where they have like 200 yards by one of the running backs. It's kind of a Jace McClellan and Roydell Williams and maybe some of the Jam Miller as well. But they haven't been able just to dominate in terms of running the football. But I think when you look to keys to the game, and I said this earlier on another show, Alabama would be best suited to try to run the game and to try to control the time of possession. You guys have probably seen games are quicker now with all these commercials that they've added. Like the game against Ole Miss was 3 hours exactly. The two games that they lost last year, LSU and Tennessee, those games are 4-hour games. It's an hour difference. So control the time of possession, put points on the board. But this is the worst thing about Alabama is every single time that they come out in the first quarter, their drives never transition to points. It's kind of like that boxing match where they're kind of just jabbing, but nothing's really struck. They're more of a second half type team. And if they do that against LSU, they'll lose. Like they cannot play catch up against a team with this amount of talent on the offensive side. You have to come out, and even if you get into the red zone, you get points on the board from Will Reichert, then do it. But you cannot play from behind against LSU.
Putting up 366 total yards per game this year, I would imagine you can't necessarily get into a shootout with anybody this year. At least offensively, that's what it looks like right now. Bama can cover anybody, Kyle. I think with Terrion Arnold and Kool-Aid McKinstry. I think Caleb Downs has really, really improved over the last several weeks, as has Key, the transfer there at safety. They've allowed 200 yards passing in they've allowed fewer than 250 yards passing in 6 out of their 9 games. They're really, really good against the pass. But they've allowed 100 yards on the ground 5 out of the last 9. What happens if a football team can consistently run the ball against a football team that's not necessarily giving it up, but they've shown an ability to, hey, you can consistently run the ball and stay diligent running the football against Alabama. Hey, this is an LSU football team, Kyle, that put up 275 yards on the ground against Missouri.
Yeah, I mean, teams that have been able to run the football in the past, historically, there hasn't been many. Those teams usually win the game, but it's been more the teams that are able to beat Alabama are the teams that go up tempo and are able just to continue to maintain the chains, moving down with a quarterback that is accurate. They go no huddle and they can continue just to move the chains into the end zone. It's not necessarily a team that can, I guess, like a couple years ago, there's been some times where they've been gashed up the middle. Even Mississippi State and I think Texas A&M for a little while, they were able to kind of, gash Alabama for the most part. But Alabama's interior linebackers are so talented. Jahad Campbell, Deontay Lawson. I mean, this team is built to stop the – I mean, it's a complete defense, honestly. But if anybody can pass – on Alabama, like LSU, that would be, I guess that's the key to beating them.
Yeah.
I just don't see this team allowing teams to run all over them. I mean, it hasn't happened. I don't think it will. I think the team that beats Alabama is a team that throws the football.
I'm giving Kyle the win because it was a Fugazi stat. They're only allowing 3-point yards per carry this year. Teams are just, for some reason, running their head against the fucking brick wall against them.
Damn it.
Oh,
Dang it.
Sorry.
on the national hour too.
That's on me. Sorry. What do you got for him?
All right, I got one more. I just actually thought about this one after thinking about teams over the past couple of years, but how do you think Alabama's going to overcome not necessarily having like an elite offensive weapon to rely on? When I think of the top teams in the country right now and the top teams that can compete for a title, and even teams in the past year like Alabama, when they had that insane group of wide receivers, LSU had an insane group of wide receivers. Georgia has had Brock Bowers over the years. They have Marvin Harrison Jr. up at Ohio State. How does Alabama overcome that along with not having necessarily a superstar at quarterback?
Yeah, that's a good question. The guy that has become a rideout. So a rideout, what that is a Jerry Jeudy, a Henry Ruggs, a Jalen Waddle, a Devontae Smith, a Jameson Williams. Those guys were called rideouts. John Mechie. Alabama didn't have a rideout last year. This year, there is one that has emerged, and that is Jermaine Burton. So Jermaine Burton last year, he wasn't that productive, and people were mad when he announced that he was coming back. Jermaine Burton this year has played pissed off. And you look at that game against Texas A&M where he completely took over. What do you have? 3 touchdown passes or something like that? He has been talking trash. He's been in everybody's ear. Like, he has become, honestly, one of the alphas on the offensive side of the ball. So he is a weapon, and he's been playing big time. I mean, he's been making contested catches. I think his average is, 22 yards downfield. And then you also have 007. Isaiah Bond, who is the fastest player on the team. He's also another wide receiver.
Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, the guy is he's electric with the football in hand, and Alabama's been dicing up people down the field because Jermaine Burton and Isaiah Bond are able to beat you over the top. And then you also have a weapon by the name of Mari Nyblock at tight end, and he's kind of been snuck in some of the schematics on the offensive side. He's caught a couple touchdowns this year, and he's really Alabama's best tight end that they've had over the last 5 years because he's a wide receiver. Alabama has a variety of tight ends, but he's like one of those hybrids where he's like a wide receiver and a tight end. Sometimes they'll move someone off the line and someone slide him up and make him an eligible receiver when he wasn't, and they'll sneak him across to catch a touchdown. So they do have weapons, and they do have a stable of running backs that is capable to carry the workload. Jace McClellan, Roydell Williams. The best thing about Alabama overall is the fact that they're healthy. They're healthy on the offense. They're healthy on the defense. They're healthy on the special teams. So this has been the first time in a long time that I've covered Alabama where they're not hampered by these injuries. And it's a good thing for these guys going through this gauntlet, finishing out with LSU before they look to the back end, Kentucky, Chattanooga, and then Auburn.
I think the wide receiver skill set really fits right now, or has molded its way into fitting Milroe's skill set, which leads me to my next kind of point here before we wrap things up. This offense isn't, in my opinion, super creative. It's not the ones of the years past that we've seen from Alabama. To me, it seems very run, throw it 60 yards. Run a hitch. Okay, run. We're going to run a hitch and go. We're going to get somebody to bite up, and we're going to get that guy. It seems very much so that is the game plan. My question to you, Kyle, are they creative enough offensively to have consistent offensive outputs in December and in January?
I don't know. I would say no right now. It's just I think a lot of that is based on, the continued progression of Jalen Milroe and Tommy Rees with being, creative. We've seen him do a couple things that have been somewhat exciting. Look, I'm not asking for a reverse pass or anything like that, but figure out a way to get your best players the football. Alabama doesn't even run simple screens to their running backs. Like, they try to do it, but it was like a misdirection type screen, and Jalen Milroe got sacked twice by Tennessee. So they're starting to do stuff like that. But I honestly feel that with Tommy Rees, he came over from Notre Dame, 31 years old. In my opinion, I think he's a little bit overwhelmed having all of these weapons at Alabama. And I think it's going to take him some time eventually to get kind of his system together. But look, the SEC is a lot different than being the OC at Notre Dame. 1,000,000%.
There.
I know everybody's excited about Notre Dame, because when we were little, what did we watch? We watched Notre Dame. We put on the gold helmet. Look, they're pretenders. We've seen that 1,000,000 times. Notre Dame, it's fun to have them back in college football. It's not the same in Alabama, I promise you. So being the OC there, OC here, completely different thing. I don't even know if Tommy Rees was Alabama's, if they specifically wanted him as target number one. I think he kind of went through the offensive coordinators and he was kind of one of the next best things, but he's growing. It's a lot different than Kevin Steele, who's 67 years old. That guy's a grown man. He don't say shit. He just walks around. He's the alpha, and you see that defense kind of resonate from that.
Hey, you see a lot. I see a lot of people historically have stolen defensive concepts from Kevin Steele, one of which being Kirby Smart. Kevin Steele was the team at Auburn that was the only team to hold LSU under 25 points that year, and they played a 3-3-5. And then you saw in the SEC championship game, Georgia rolled out a 3-3-5 against it as well. Hey, he is Kyle Henderson. Kyle, I still think Alabama's got way too many holes. I think the courtroom case is going to say way too many to be considered a staunch contender for the national title right now. Do you agree or disagree?
Oh, come on, man. They're going to make a run. They're laying in the weeds right, man. They're laying in the weeds. They're number 8. All these teams. Who are you taking? Washington? Don't tell me you're a Florida State guy. I love Jordan Travis. The Pac-12 is fun. Penix, I like the jerseys, the gold and purples, easy on the eyes. But overall, we know what's going to happen at the end of the year. Alabama's going to beat LSU. They're going to make a run over Kirby. They're going to go in the playoffs. Michigan is going to get kicked out of college football or something like that. And Alabama's going to raise the title with Jalen Milroe. Just wait.
He's got Crimson Tide covered glasses. He is Kyle Henderson. You can check him out on YouTube at Bama Football on YouTube with Kyle Henderson. Kyle, I appreciate you, baby. Did you have a good time, my man?
Yes, man. Thank you so much. My day's been long. I've been doing show after show, but I was looking forward to rapping with you guys. I really appreciate it. Keep up the product. So I have a whiteboard. I have 3 whiteboards. One is about goals, one is about business, and then one is for myself. And it says, be yourself, be authentic, put in the work, stay consistent. Be authentic. You guys will succeed.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, Kyle.
See you guys.
Yeah, man.
He went out on his sword there. I like that.
Yeah, he did.
He had a good closing statement.
He did. We've had 2 just absolute superstars the last couple weeks trying to do those segments.
Killed it.
And again, if you're a Bama fan and you have found your way, thanks to Kyle Henderson as a little crossover here, go ahead and hit subscribe. We talk National College Football every Monday through Thursday live from 9 to 10 p.m. here on the channel. And we think we do it really well, and we have a good time doing it. We always have good laughs. We always have good people on here like our boy Kyle Henderson. So shouts out to Kyle. Hey, Kyle Henderson, give him 3. Appreciate that guy coming on, man. He smoked it. He didn't win. Pittenger smoked our ass last week.
It was like Pittenger had the cheat sheet to the test.
I swear to God, I don't prep him at all.
He stole the signal.
He didn't even know we were going to do that. Like, he didn't even know to come ready prepared. He just showed up and cooked, man.
I was so impressed.
He did a tremendous job.
To be fair, I think we were better prepared for this one, too.
Oh, yeah. We were definitely prepared.
Yeah.
We literally stumbled upon it last week.
Yeah.
We came ready to cook Kyle. I also think Alabama's got a few more holes, noticeable holes, than Florida State, outside of just not being tested. Less
explainable, that is.
Correct. Hey, let's talk about this Big Ten coaches scandal because this thing is rather hysterical. I'm just going to read because you guys don't read, and it's okay. Y'all don't have to read. Maybe that's what we should advertise this show as. Show up so you don't have to read. All right, we're going to read for you. This is a report from Pete Thamel released today at 11:56. Actually, it was released yesterday at 11:56. So, man's released this at almost damn near midnight last night. Boy, was cooking. Apparently, there was a call late last night between the Big Ten. It's a standard operations meeting, a Big Ten call with all of the coaches. However, it's 90 minutes long. The first 30 minutes, all of the coaches, including Jim Harbaugh, were on the call. After that 30 minutes, according to Pete Thamel's reporting in ESPN today, there was a 60-minute portion of this phone call where only the Big Ten coaches were on the call to discuss their with this Michigan scandal. Coaches use, this is directly from the report, coaches use words like, quote, tainted, fraudulent, and unprecedented on the call to describe Michigan's sign-stealing scheme as has been alleged. Much of the call, according to sources, was coaches explaining to Petitti, who is the new Big Ten commissioner, both how it worked and how it impacted them and their programs. In-person opponent scouting is using electronic equipment is illegal, yada, yada, yada. We already read the quote about Big Ten or Michigan's record in Big Ten play previous to this scandal and post this scandal. Here's another quote. There was anger interspersed throughout the call as one source described the sentiment as, quote, Every game they played is tainted. The coaches acknowledged on the call the reality of the NCAA enforcement timeline won't impact Michigan this season as the Wolverines are 8-0. Sources told Petiti as listening carefully to the coaches but not tipping his hand in what direction he might go. Sources expressed curiosity as to whether the Big Ten is truly interested in taking action or is just listening to coaches so they can be heard. So up to this point in the story, let me catch you up. The rest of the Big Ten coaches took 60 minutes today to bitch, moan, and complain to the Big Ten about how they should step in and take some kind of course of action here because the NCAA is not. Let me continue. And this is where, if I'm a Michigan fan, all right, I start to get to the point of like, why are y'all reporting on stuff like this? Because of this portion of the article right here. This is really, really weird. Pete Thamel, this is tremendous reporting, but if you're a Michigan fan, I can understand why you get to the end of this and you're like, well, what the fuck is –
Dang, a twofer.
Two, man. I'm sorry, bro.
A twofer.
What the hell is the point of the report when you read this? This is the closing couple of paragraphs in here. The Big Ten technically has the authority under its sportsmanship policy to punish Michigan or members of its coaching staff. That's been considered unlikely in this case in the near future, as it is unusual to have an NCAA case unfolding in real time. While plenty of evidence has emerged in media reports, the league likely wouldn't be able to, or would likely be unable to use it as a fact set to make a decision. The league could also initiate its own investigation into potential violations of the Big Ten sportsman's policy, while Petiti has the authority to dictate discipline. If it's beyond a standard level, it must be looked at by an executive committee that could approve, deny, or lessen the ability. In other words, it ain't happening. In other words, the Big Ten ain't going to do nothing. In other words, or likely won't do nothing. In other words, you're going to have to wait on the NCAA to come clean on this. In other words, I'm just going to let college football fans dictate whatever they want to think about this, because Lord knows we've seen enough evidence. I think if you're sitting there right now as a Michigan fan, you're the only ones defending this, by the way, and you think that these people are innocent, if you think that they didn't cheat, if you think that they didn't advance scout, well, you're just playing dumb or playing ignorant or just burying your head in the sand, because we have mounds and mounds of evidence at this point. And there was another video found today of Stallions talking directly to Jim Harbaugh's face, up 29-7 with 2.5 minutes left to go in a Michigan State football game that was well out of hand. Stallions was telling Jim Harbaugh to his face, they're bringing edge pressure, they're bringing edge pressure, they're bringing edge pressure. He took his headsets off, talked to Stallions, turned right back around, put his headsets back on, called the play. Guess who was ready for the edge pressure on the next snap? Michigan State was. This whole defense here holds no water. They are guilty. It's just a matter of what's going to happen to them. That's the only thing we can figure out. And guess what, guys? I'm going to let you know, you ain't got to worry for it. You ain't got to worry about what's going to happen. You ain't got to worry about no decision from the NCAA. We already know. They're cheaters. That's what we all think they are. Everybody outside of Ann Arbor thinks they're a bunch of cheaters. So if that's what we think, that's what we think, and that's okay. They have to prove us otherwise. This whole innocent until proven guilty idea, yeah, that works in the court of law. Buddy, we got you. We got the footage. We got the videos. We can go from we can take our narrative here moving forward. I don't need to wait on no NCAA. I don't need to wait on the Big Ten. The games will sort themselves out. They'll have to go win a national championship now without cheating moving forward or advanced scouting or stealing signals or doing whatever. They'll have to do it and play fair this time. And if they do it, then guess what? They won this year. But last year, years prior, they're all tainted to me. They're all tainted. If this Stallions dude was advanced scouting, if he was stealing signals in a way in which was illegal, they're all tainted. I'm done with the investigation. I don't need to know what's happening.
So Jim Harbaugh was on this call, right?
For the first 30 minutes. He didn't get to hear the 60 minutes where they just berated how Jim Harbaugh should be thrown out of college football.
Still, just having to be on that call with everybody else, surely you felt like the smallest man in the room type thing.
Jim Harbaugh never feels like the smallest man in the room.
Dude, I would have.
Never. I mean, there's nothing left to say about it, I feel like. We've killed this horse so many times and it's revived. So Michigan cheated. We know that. The NCAA is going to sit on its hands as long as it can. Jim Harbaugh is going to go to the NFL. He won't be affected by this. He's going to leave Michigan in the dust for it. So I don't think obviously there's not going to be anything coming down this year. So there's really not much else to say on it. There's just going to be more and more interesting evidence that comes out. Like, really, like you thought you'd get away with that?
Yeah. You really thought-
Spy glasses? Are you 12?
Bro, they scouted Michigan State twice. Have you
Why?
seen Michigan State's roster?
So bad.
Bro, they are such a bad football team.
Well, they were.
I
good in
told you there's an
2021.
argument that they could be the worst Power 5 football team right now.
There's a solid argument for that. What do we want to go to next? We want to talk about who we don't want to play?
We gotta do Teddy Tire.
Oh, my God. Do we have photos of this or anything of this?
I don't have any
I
photos.
don't have
of
anything
it.
of this. Akron has, everybody's got, what did it was the turnover chain was the initiation of this, right?
Yeah,
Miami's turnover chain was the
chain.
very first ever gimmick. We made a play. Let's go to the sideline and do some. We've seen Ole Miss's basketball rim that they dunk on. I've seen
Slot machine.
Did Texas A&M
I've
have
seen
the
a
pimp
trash
cane?
can. Huh?
Did Texas A&M have the pimp cane? Was that who that was?
The pimp cane?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Someone had a pimp cane.
There's obviously the Savage Pads at Georgia.
Yeah.
Does Alabama have any of these goofy gimmicks?
Surely they do.
They have
I'm
to.
sure.
There was the garbage can at Tennessee for a little bit.
Miami had the brass knuckles at one point.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
My favorite's UNLV's. They had the slot machine.
They have
Oh,
like
that is
literally
pretty
you
Like
go
the
over
turn
there
up,
and
like
pull
you
a slot.
get a turnover
Yeah.
and you go hit the slot machine.
Does it automatically win?
I don't know.
It has to, right? It automatically has to hit 777s. There's
Something
no
like
way it doesn't. Well, it would be really, really stupid if it did.
Oh damn! They're
Like
looking
you
at
made a
something.
great play.
You lost money.
Spin again. You know what I mean? Like that would be kind of stupid. But no, this turnover tire in Akron, it's too much, man. Now I know I felt stupid. Not felt stupid. I felt bad. I felt guilty yesterday because apparently tires are big to the economy of Akron, Ohio.
Tires and LeBron.
I should know this as a resident LeBron stan. I should know that Akron, Ohio's chief export is tires.
I thought it was LeBron.
Well, no, it's definitely LeBron. But apparently it's tires. So, yeah, they put a tire on man's head yesterday.
They might.
Neck.
Look, the only issue I have with it is it's a used, dirty tire.
Bro, ugly tire.
It's not even a new tire.
No,
it
was
is
not.
When he told me about it, I was like, oh, it's like a new tire. He's like, no, it's like a used, dirty tire.
Yeah.
They
It's
just
like
put it
a
around their neck.
spare tire.
Yeah, it's like a donut.
On an 06 Honda Accord.
Yeah. Am I the only one who loves this?
Yeah.
Look,
I thought
think
it looked goofy.
Look, for someone like Akron, cool, man. You get to go viral this week. But, like, you're telling me if Georgia got out this dirty used tire, you'd be like, yes! That's what I wanted to see. That is
awesome.
dope. I'm loving that.
I love it, dude. I love because they've gotten like these turnover gimmick things have gotten.
Stop the cap.
It's got no. I'm
Stop
not
the
lying
cap,
right now,
dude.
dude. I'm not lying. They've gotten so over the top and so gimmicky to see someone pull up with a used tire and put it around their head. That is so ironic, and I love it.
I want to see someone get mummified on the sideline with toilet paper.
Wrap them up in
next
TP.
time.
Anyone
Yeah.
who knows Christian, that is the most Christian answer
Dude,
to
TP
this
for a
whole
TD.
topic.
I love it, dude. I'm a turnover tire fan.
I'm a turnover tire fan. Put it on your grave or your tombstone.
Yeah. Well,
Let's go to the
Trying to
next
kill
one.
me?
I mean, dude, I just think your tombstone's there for something that should resonate with your life. The statement of I'm a tire fan.
if
Pretty solid.
If the fact that I'm a turnover tire fan is the lasting impression I leave on this
Just
world,
today. It's the lasting impression on me
okay,
today.
let's say I failed miserably at this career. Then
Nah, you did throw dirt on Alabama's grave. That's your
Week
hottest
1.
take today. Week 1. No, week 3.
Week 2, yeah.
Week 3. Start of week 3
It was-
after week 2.
no,
loss.
it was after.
Oh, no, it
after
was week
US
4.
It was
Week
after
4 after
USF.
USF.
After
Yes.
USF.
After USF. You know what? Not a bad take. Okay, we'll see how it pans out. Do we want to talk about who you don't want to play? There's Oregon, who are not allowed to select, but I have 2 teams that are kind of on that out inside the top 25, but they're kind of on that borderline. Neither of them are contending for national title, but you damn sure don't want to play them.
I can tell you one right now.
Yeah, I mean, whoever y'all say,
It-
whoever y'all
who you
say is
got?
probably going to be who I was thinking.
It's
So.
Kansas State right now.
Kansas State was one of them.
Kansas State.
They're top 15 in offense and top 15 in defense. They are a well-rounded football team, and especially Big 12 teams in general, Oklahoma and Texas, looking at you specifically, Texas more so because that's who you play this week. Kansas State is known for ruining seasons, known for being the spoiler maker, known for coming in and just disrupting stuff when they have no playoff hopes whatsoever. They did it to TCU last year. Now, granted, TCU was undefeated in the Big 12 championship game, so they still got to go into the playoff. But Kansas State always stays lurking around. They have remained a good football team, and if I was Texas, I would be scared to play them this weekend.
You know what? I'm just sitting here thinking about the idea that more and more people should hire North Dakota State head coaches, because that's the Kansas State head coach. He was the former North Dakota State head coach. And now North Dakota State, I just looked up, is still beating the shit out of everybody. So whoever they got in there now must be pretty daggum good too. So, yeah, maybe you should just ought to holler at them Bison head coaches. Kansas State is a good one. I got UCLA on the list for a very similar reason. UCLA, you might beat UCLA, but beating UCLA is going to hurt this year.
Yeah.
It's going to hurt your offensive line. It's going to hurt your quarterback. It's going to hurt your defense in terms of, like, they play a physical brand of football.
Mm-hmm.
So they're on my list. Do you have any other ones?
Yeah, I've got two. I've got Oklahoma State. Start off the year really bad. Kind of found the heat stretch. We'll see how it goes against Oklahoma this season. But like you said, running game very strong. Van Gundy magic, dude. I know he doesn't have the mullet anymore, but still mullet magic.
This is what makes these types of teams so dangerous, is because since they don't have any more playoff hopes, since they're no longer contending for the college football playoff, they're not necessarily playing with house money, because they're very much so trying to push for the New Year's Six Bowl or one of those signature bowl games that they can play in come December. But they're just a team that you don't want to mess around with during this time of the year, because they don't have anything to lose, so they can do anything and everything and pull all the stops out to beat you and ruin your season.
They're also not big get-up games. Like, if Oregon came to town, you'd be like, okay, we got to really bring our A game because we're playing Oregon. Oklahoma State, Kansas, teams like that, it's not as sexy of a matchup, so you might not always be ready for it.
You said you had one more?
Yeah, it's Kansas.
You don't want to play Kansas?
I don't think you want to play Kansas.
Creative offense. You just don't want to do it.
No.
And they play hard.
Yeah.
I got LSU on there because any team with scoring ability like that is going to make that butt
That's a
putt
very
in
good
4
one.
quarters.
I almost put Ole Miss on there, but then we kind of put in the playoff stipulation.
Yeah, I
they're
think
still
Ole
in there.
Miss is still a contender.
I think so too.
Very much so.
All right, here's what I want to do to close out the show. We got 6 minutes left. We never do this. I want to do this now. I'm going to go through all the top 25 matchups. Not all of them, the key ones. We're going to pick them right now. You ready?
Let's do it.
All right.
rapid
Georgia,
fire.
Missouri.
Georgia.
Do they cover 15.5?
I predicted
yes,
they do.
I would say yes.
All right, Georgia wins. They don't cover. That's my opinion. Ohio State at Rutgers. Ohio State 18.5. Do they win and cover?
They win. I don't think they cover.
34-17, so no, they don't cover.
28-10 football game. I don't think they cover either. I think Ohio State wins. Texas hosting Kansas State. Malik Murphy going to be the starting quarterback in this football game. Texas favored by 4 points.
I'm going to do it. Kansas State.
Damn it, I was going to do it too.
It's on my unless it doesn't happen.
Unless it doesn't happen, Kansas State wins this game.
I think Kansas State wins this game. I don't have to do the less of what doesn't happen. You know who's really, really tough to play as a second career start? Kansas State, a top 15 defense. I mean, that's really, really tough. Texas A&M only a 3-point dog on the road. In Oxford.
I still like Lane Kiffin in this game. I know Texas A&M's got a very good roster.
I'm waiting for the Aggies to lay down. They got to. They got to show up and play a dud because it's Jimbo.
I'm also waiting for Missouri or Ole Miss to fumble the bag here.
I just can't, in good conscience, pick a Jimbo-led team in this type of setting. I'm going Ole Miss.
And they can't cover with the shit.
No.
Give me Ole Miss. Ole Miss to cover as well. Notre Dame, Clemson. Is Clemson under 500 this late in the season for the first time in Dabo Swinney's career?
Things feel like they're going so wrong for Clemson right now that it's almost like it can't get that much worse. You can't come in here and lose to Notre Dame, right? All signs point that they should. I'm going to say Notre Dame wins, but it would not surprise me at all to see Clemson pull this game out.
I'm going to go Clemson, actually.
God, it's such a rock fight.
Yeah.
12-10, Clemson wins. That 44.5 number at the over-under is take the under.
12-10.
Take the under and just sit on your hands all game. It's going to be fun. OU, Oklahoma State. Let's pick Bedlam right quick. Oklahoma is a 6-point favorite in this football game. While y'all do that, I want to look up how well Oklahoma's played against the run right quick. So go ahead.
You want me to go? Or?
Yeah, you can go.
I don't think Oklahoma turns in 3 straight Brad performances. I think Brett Venables is too good of a coach for that. They had the scare against UCF. They lost to Kansas. I think this is kind of the get-up game. They're a superior team than Oklahoma State. They should win this game.
Not good against the run, huh?
Bro, they've given up 150-plus the last 4 games, 225 last week to Kansas.
Whoa. Okay, I was going to say there's no way Oklahoma loses 2 games in a row.
Buddy.
That might have just pushed me over the ledge.
They're getting cooked.
Like
they gave up 5.5 yards a carry last week. They gave up 5.5 yards a carry to Iowa State.
You know what? It is in my predictions, actually. I predicted that both Oklahoma and Texas lose this weekend.
That's a lot.
So, Oklahoma State.
You like Oklahoma State in that football game? Give me Dylan Gabriel at home or on the road. Is that on the road? That's in That's in Stillwater.
Oklahoma.
Give me the home dog. Give me the home dog. I like the Okies. Oklahoma State.
There you go.
All right. Who else we got? Do we want to pick that?
There's one more game.
That's Washington, USC,
Yep.
and we still got LSU, Alabama.
All right.
Washington, USC.
Washington.
Washington, a 3-point favorite.
USC.
You think USC wins?
Pac-12, baby.
Dude, that defense cannot get a stop.
Pac-12.
There's no way.
I'm telling you, it's a Pac-12.
There's no way.
All logic goes out the window when it's a Pac-12.
All logic goes out the window when you have a Lincoln Riley defense.
That is a good point. You're still in the Pac-12 though. Just watch.
Washington.
I don't think USC can beat a good football team. I don't think they can. I don't think they can outcoach this Washington team. I don't think they can out-effort this Washington team. I don't think they outplay this Washington team. Give me Washington on the road in that football game. LSU, Alabama. I'll start Alabama -3. I think they win this football game in some type of 31 to 24, 25, 26 fashion.
Yeah.
Really, really limited the possessions from LSU running the football.
Yeah, I think Alabama wins this game too. I think it's kind of very similar to the case of I just can't trust the defense in LSU right now to get enough stops to beat an Alabama team, especially on the road. I don't care what you say about Alabama's offense. I think they're coached well enough that this game is at home. I think the Tide can get it done.
I've said before, I don't think Alabama has it in them this season. I still don't think that, but I also can't wrap my head around Nick Saban losing 2 years in a row to Brian Kelly, losing 2 home games in one season. So I'll take Alabama in this game.
All right. Hey, that has been our week of shows. I want to give a quick shout out to our guy, Kyle Henderson. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to you all for joining us as well. We will see you Sunday morning for our reaction show here on the network. Make sure you're subscribing, liking, rating, reviewing, hitting that thumbs up button on your way out. I love you.